Welcome back to Broken Electronics. I'm Lee, and it's great you could stop by for today's video. Now, today we're going to be turning our attention back to the PowerMac G5 from late 2005. This is the dual 2 gigahertz model that came to live here in Facebook Marketplace Expedition number 4. The most recent video, I had put a hard drive taken from another machine so that there'd be a bootable operating system in there, and then installed Tiger on the existing hard drive. Now, I know there are people who love Tiger and want to work with Tiger. I think that's great. I feel the same way about Leopard. With these machines that run Leopard so very well, that, to me, is the way to go. So I'm going to put a drive in there. Now, ordinarily, I've leaned to putting in SSDs, as you've seen me do many times if you've been following this channel. There was a comment, and unfortunately I don't quite remember who made the comment. I think I remember, but rather than throw out a name, and be wrong, there was a comment about not putting in SSDs, but putting in mechanical hard drives instead. The point being that you're restricted to the 1.5 gigabytes that you get over SATA 1 anyway. A newer hard drive is probably not going to be that much slower than an SSD, given that it is so touchy with SSDs. The SSDs, which I am sure will work in these machines, cost like $130. That's just the SSD. So what I picked up was a WD Blue 1 terabyte drive. Now, I went with the blue. The commenter had been talking about using the WD Black. I realized full well that's the gold standard, etc. But I went with the WD Blue largely because from all reviews out there, it is just as fast, perhaps even a little bit faster than the Black. And it is about $20 cheaper. So if we're trying to save money here, about $50 on this, I think, is the way to go. So the first step we're going to do is put it into the machine, boot the machine up, and we shall see if it actually registers. All right. Then we'll go about getting Leopard on there. That we will deal with as we go. All right. So if you're interested in seeing this process and seeing if this new WD Blue, which is a SATA III hard drive, actually is going to be registered by the system, please stay tuned. All right, here we are. You won't be able to see the upper drive very well here, but this is as low as this tripod will go. There are 2 drives in there. That's the drive that I took from another machine that had Tiger on it, and that's the one in which I just recently installed Tiger. There are 2 plastic retainers there. You can see that one pretty well that I have just moved up. We're going to unplug the SATA connectors. At least we're going to try to. Okay. Remove the lower of the 2. Now, the data cable doesn't want to move. There we go. And Okay, there we go. Yeah, now, there are 4 screws right in here. And with the camera in place, it's a little difficult. These run along those tracks. 1. 2. 3. I'm glad these are still here. Sometimes they go missing. I mean, you can come up with other screws that will work for this purpose. Having trouble getting. It would be easier if I just knocked the camera over. Well, I will get this and I will screw that into the drive. We will be right back. Stay tuned. All right, so you see we have screws there, 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 and there. Now, the top drive is the one that's a bit of a pain. So you slot it in. You should get the SATA data available. And then it runs up in there. SATA cables. Coming in a whole lot more easily than they came out. Now, that's the one. Oh, wrong one. Okay. It's not quite in. Yeah, it is. Okay. So it's handy to put that one in. If you're going to be swapping drives in and out, and if things work according to my plan, I'm going to have to do that. It is very easy to get drives in and out of the lower bay now. Doing that in need to keep that SATA data cable available. There we go. And there's that. And we've got power. All right, power and data. Power and data. So put on the door. Now we'll try to boot it up, and if this is working the way it should work, we should see the initialized disk warning when we do boot it up. All right, stay tuned. All right, I say do the entire boot up. It takes a while for the screen to become active, and then it had to find the operating system. Since it had been set to boot to the Tiger installation that was on the drive I removed, it should now be booting into Tiger. And we should hopefully see the warning to initialize the disk. And there we go. So this is good. $931.5, that's our 1 terabyte Western Digital, which we shall erase. And I'm going to call it Leopard HDD. Okay. Erase. By the way, I have done some customizations already on this Tiger installation. 10.4 Fox. 10.4 Fox feature release 30.2 handles YouTube pretty darn well. Okay, that's done, by the way. Maybe at some point we'll demonstrate that. But yes, I've got iLife on there. I put NeoOffice on there. I put MS Office 2008. So we're in pretty good shape there. All right. So what we're going to do now, we need to get Leopard installed. My plan is, rather than install Leopard, I'm going to take the hard drive out of my 2.3 dual core, 2.3 gigahertz dual core, clone that Leopard installation over onto this. At some point in a future video, I'm going to want to compare through benchmarks the performance of the SSD as opposed to the hard drive. In any event, so far so good, so stay tuned. You don't need to see me opening it up again, but just to point out, as I was saying, the 2.3 gigahertz only had 2 of the proper screws, so I had to replace the 2 missing screws with other screws, and it actually works just as well. So if you get a PowerMac G5 and the screws are missing, with a little patience you'll be able to come up with something that should fit. So anyhow, I'm going to put this in. You've already seen how that works. I will be better at it because now I've done it a couple of times. Please stay tuned. You know, having made hundreds of videos, you'd think I would figure something out making videos. I'm thinking primarily how much easier it would be to plug the computer back in without having already placed the tripod in the worst possible position for plugging in the computer. But nonetheless, all right. Here we are in Leopard. And just to verify, this is the dual 2 gigahertz, but it's the hard drive that came from the dual 2.3 gigahertz. All right. So what we're going to do, go to Applications, Carbon Copy Cloner. Now, I renamed that hard drive into Leopard HDD2 just to make sure I don't completely mess all of this up. So I'll take the icon would do it, but just to be on the safe side. All right. Now let's start the clone process. It's a blank hard drive, Carbon Copy Cloner. Oh, I canceled it. All right, and authenticate. All right, now, having recently done this on the Sawtooth Not a Yikes, and what it took like an hour and 50 minutes to clone an installation of Leopard, I'm going to be curious to see what the result is on this worthy machine. I don't think it'll be quite that long, but it'll take a while. Anyhow, I'm certainly going to make you sit through that. I'll do that for you. Stay tuned. Well, 1 hour, 1 minute, 54 seconds. But if you notice, that's just about 67 gigabytes. There's a distinction. When I was cloning on the Sawtooth Not a Yikes, I was cloning a FireWire drive installation that I used to boot up machines that won't boot up otherwise for whatever reason. This is an actual working installation of Leopard. So it's a lot more data, and it went a lot faster. Now, we can talk, of course, about dual 2 gigahertz G5 as opposed to single 1.2 gigahertz G4. We can talk about 8 gigs of RAM as opposed to 2, but it's all about data speed. with the Sawtooth Not a Yikes, I was cloning from a drive connected via Firewire 400 to an ATA 66 drive. Here is two SATA 1 connected drives, and made a difference. I did a video some time back featuring MacBook Pros. A part of one of those videos, I cloned an installation of Catalina, which had a lot of data on it, from one 2015 MacBook Pro to another, using Thunderbolt 2, 4 minutes. Okay, it would be nice if I could just, at this point, declare victory and move on to something else, but I probably ought to ensure that we can actually, yeah, it's already set to boot into it, that we can actually boot into our newly cloned installation. So please stay tuned. All right, so here we are booted up. We go to About This Mac. Leopard HDD2. I'm going to rename that so we know for sure which is which. And looking at serial ATA, the two drives we have. Here's our 1 gigabyte. And here's the half a gig that's going to have to go back to 1 terabyte. This is a half a terabyte that's going to have to go back. And the other thing I need to do, of course, is to put the Tiger drive back into this machine so that we can have it in its dual booting splendor. And I think when I do that, this is going to be a fairly short video, so I teased a little bit the idea that 10.4 Fox feature parity release 30.2 was doing quite nicely playing YouTube on Tiger. Maybe I should give you a little demonstration of that. Stay tuned. Okay, the Tiger disk is back in, and we're of course booted into it. This is 10.4 Fox feature parity release 30, security parity release 2, aka 30.2. The video I called up is the second in the world's most powerful Sawtooth series. I see it's still using my old camera, which had this fisheye effect. I've got it in theater mode. We're at 720p. Now, if you're going to watch YouTube on this machine, you would want to be on Leopard, you'd want to be using WebKit, and it would play just about seamlessly. But I think it's interesting to see how well this machine using 10.4 Fox is keeping up. I will note that, of course, with a dual 2 gigahertz machine, I do have the MP4 enabler installed. So that, of course, is making a difference. If you're looking at a much less powerful machine, your mileage would, of course, vary. All right, I've got the sound turned down quite a bit. Welcome back to Brothers. I'm Lee, and once again, it is great to spend some time. It's pretty darn good. It's keeping up well. Is continue with the series of upgrades to my Powermac G4 Sawtooth. Yeah, I mean, the audio and video seem to be right on there. The picture quality, to my relatively untrained eye, is very, very, very good. I think this shows a lot of promise that 10.4 Fox is in fact able to deal with YouTube as well as this. That's always been a problem for it. Okay, well, anyway, I think I can mute myself even a little bit more here, all the way. I have one further plan with this little series on the dual 2 gigahertz. It is my intention to put an SSD into the dual 2.3 gigahertz. parts and clone the operating system once again. When I do that, I'm going to try making a video where I put this newly installed hard drive and that 2.3 gigahertz SSD with the same operating system into this machine, and then run some comparisons as far as disk speed and see what we can come up with. I think that's going to be a very, very, very interesting thing to check out, and maybe see, is there really a difference between putting in an SSD and just going ahead with a mechanical hard drive. I think that'll make for an interesting video. Well, we have that coming up. I've got a number of other things in mind. It's going to be very interesting ongoing here. I certainly hope you find that true. Be good to other people. Other people need it and deserve it. We all need help. You do too, so be good to yourselves. Start from there. We can make the world a better place. It isn't, so take very, very good and careful care in these difficult times. We will be back here with all kinds of stuff, more G5 material, more G4 material, and other things that happen to pop into my fevered little mind. So until those things are out and about, this has been Broken Electronics.